across the great state of Iowa. It is the Simon Conway Show. As you know, we have always been focused on our veteran community, basically since we've been on the air. This is year 16 for that. The legislature, the federal legislature, the U.S. House of Representatives, failed to get this done again. And, well, somebody who we know and love very, very much is Mark Lucas. And Mark is going to come on right now and talk to us about the Take Care of America's Veterans Act. Isn't it wonderful when you get a bill that is very, very specific in its title as to what it actually is going to do? Unlike, things like, the Affordable Care Act, which we knew was unaffordable from the very beginning. Mark is the founder of Veteran Action. He is a former guy in charge of Concerned Veterans of America. He's an Afghan veteran as well. And you're very welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Great, Simon. Thank you so much for having me on to talk about this really important bill.
Did I miss anything? I think I got it. I got everything in the introduction, right?
Yeah, I think, Take Care of America's Veterans Act has a very good name. It's an incredible bill. It's been able to consolidate 62 different bills. But I am a little frustrated that we are so close to the midterms, over 2 years of Trump's second term in office, and this is really the first major piece of veteran legislation that's been considered by Congress.
Right, and look, let's talk about some of the aspects of this bill, because you went over that really, really quickly. It's almost 60 veteran-related bills combined into one, the Take Care of Americans Veterans Act, and one of them we've been trying to get passed for. I've lost track of time, actually. How long have we been trying to get the Major Richard Starr Act on the books?
It's been 6 years.
6 years.
That legislation has just a ton of co-sponsors, both Republicans and Democrats, and it just has sat stalled in Congress. And I've got to applaud President Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson for putting this thing together here over the summer. But one of the key components of the Take Care of America's Veterans Act includes a bill called the Veterans Access Act. And Simon, you and I have talked about this extensively. It's a very important bill that will help protect and codify what President Trump passed in his first term. I know Iowans remember when President Trump was traveling the state back in 2016, he had a very robust plan to help veterans. And one of the components of that plan was to give veterans choice in their health care.
Right. I interviewed him at the time, Mark, in 2016. It was very, very simplistic, right? It was, by all means, go get care at the VA. And if you can't, or it's not near enough, or you don't like it, then go across the street to your own regular doctor and get it there, and we'll pay for it. Simplistically, That was it.
Very easy. And Veteran Healthcare Choice has a 90% approval rating from the American people.
Right.
Bipartisan support. I've polled it with Veteran Action. There's been countless polls over the last 10 years that show that the American people think that veterans deserve a choice. So that was President Trump's goal, and we're able to do that in his first term with the VA Mission Act, where basically if you weren't able to be seen by the VA within 20 days, you can go outside of the community. Or if you have to drive over 30 minutes, you can go out in the community. But unfortunately, under Joe Biden and a lot of these VA bureaucrats, they don't want to allow veterans to have access to health care outside the VA because they want to protect their institution. And the VA actually has over 300,000 union employees. So some of the biggest opponents of this bill are the labor unions and also VFW and DAV, basically people that do not want veterans to go outside the VA. So when you hear about the opposition to the Take Care of America's Veterans Act, it's not really about the Richard Starr Act or all these other great benefits. It's because they fear choice. And they believe that if a veteran goes outside the VA, that's a risk to their facilities, to their budgets, and to their jobs. Well, I side with President Trump and people like Marionette Miller Meeks and Zach Nunn. We believe that veterans earned the choice to go outside into the community for their health care.
As do I. I believe that as well. Now, you mentioned the VFW. They're very concerned. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I believe it's Section 108, which covers sleep apnea and tinnitus. They're very concerned about that. Have I got the section right, by the way? You'll know better than me.
Correct. Yeah, Section 108.
Oh, I did get it right.
Yeah,
well done, me.
Yeah. That's why you're one of the most informed members of the media on veterans issues, because Section 108 is very archaic language. But what the VFW and DAV are saying is that this bill will take away benefits from veterans. Some of them will actually lie and say that it takes away benefits of current veterans, but some of them at the VFW and DAV are more accurate, and they'll say, well, it could hurt benefits for future veterans. Well, I just want to set the record straight that what's happening here is the VA has been looking at revising all of these disability ratings. And the GAO had a report back in 2003 that said that some of the VA's ratings date back to the 1940s. And they've been revising these ratings for years now. And what the VFW and DAV, but really the labor unions are trying to do, is treat Section 108 as a poison pill to tank the whole bill. When in fact, what Mike Johnson has done and what the Trump White House has done has said, hey, under Joe Biden and now Donald Trump, the VA has been looking at revising these ratings. So we're going to claim that as a pay for. And instead of that money that's going to go back into the federal treasury, we're going to allocate how it's spent from Congress. And so as you hear me explain this, you can't do it in a quick 5 to 10 second soundbite. So it's very easy for these people to lie and say, you're cutting benefits, and this bill's going to do it. No, what this bill is doing is claiming a benefit change that was already in the works, because the GAO has very accurately said that, hey, we need to bring in more modern science. We got to revisit how these ratings are distributed, because oftentimes we've seen a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within the system, and we see that with sleep apnea, with tinnitus. But I want to tell people all across the state of Iowa that no veterans benefits today will be cut.
All right. I mean, it doesn't get more simplistic than what you just said. No veterans benefits will be cut. That's what you just said.
And the American Legion agrees with me. Wounded Warrior Project agrees with me. There's over 23 veteran service organizations that support this legislation. And that's why I'm pushing that after the August recess, I know we're going to be competing for floor time with the NDAA and with the continuing resolution, but we have to prioritize veterans. President Trump supports this bill. I support this bill. I think it's incredible for veterans, and we need to get this thing done.
We're talking to Mark Lucas. He hails from the People's Republic of Iowa City, and he's the founder of Veteran Action. And formerly, he was with Concerned Veterans of America. More importantly than all of that, he is a veteran. You're a combat veteran, actually, aren't you? You're out there. And Mark is always welcome on our show. Right now, we are talking about TCAV. Some people like to add the second A, but that is what we're talking, the Taking Care of America's Veterans Act. It combines almost 60 different veterans-related bills. Let's talk about the VA Secretary, shall we? Doug Collins. He could lead on this, couldn't he?
He could, but he's been AWOL. And actually, even worse than being AWOL on these veteran legislative bills, he has been undermining the Take Care of America's Veterans Act. And I've called him out on social media. And after I did, shortly after, Politico reported the facts, as well as CNN. And I can tell you that what Doug Collins has been doing is that he does not want to rock the boat to VA. He wants to protect his political future, because it's the worst kept secret at the VA is that Doug Collins wants to run for the United States Senate in Georgia in 2028. And what we've had to do is basically Congress and the White House have cut him out of conversations because he hasn't been helping advance this policy agenda. And, you know, in Trump's first term, we had VA Secretary Shulkin, who was fired for less. He was actually removed after we passed the VA Accountability Act in order to pass the Mission Act, because President Trump was not happy with the speed of which Shulkin was moving on veteran health care choice. So Doug Collins, I was on Steve Bannon's show last night. I just had a very simple question for him. Why can you not go out publicly and say that you support the Take Care of America's Veterans Act? He just can't do it. The White House supports it. They've issued a statement of administrative policy saying they back it. We need to get this thing done. And there's some people sitting on the fence, like Ashley Hinson here in Iowa. She was asking questions on the floor of the House of how this bill would actually function. And if the VA secretary would have been more clear about Section 108, if he would have been more clear about the benefits of this bill, we would have got this thing passed in July. There are literally veterans dying every single day that we don't pass the Access Act, because I believe that if you provide quicker access to health care for veterans, will reduce suicide and will reduce more preventable deaths.
Okay, it's obviously very emotive when you make a statement like that. So I'm gonna call you on it. You're telling me, for real, in the literal sense of the words, there are veterans who are dying right now because this hasn't been signed by President Trump.
Absolutely. And we had 2 veterans commit suicide at the same hospital in San Antonio, Texas, the Audie Murphy Hospital. And one of those guys was a Navy veteran. He stepped in. He just wanted to talk to somebody, and the VA pushed him away. They tried to give him pills, and that veteran shot himself in front of the VA. Less than a year later, a Marine did the same thing. So if that veteran would have been able to go to a private healthcare facility, to a community care provider, he could have been seen. He could have been heard. I hear this over and over and over again. And we had veterans who died on secret wait lists back in Phoenix, Arizona. They're denied access to care. And I know that this can save lives. And that's why I know it's a very strong statement, but I believe it 100% with all of my heart that if we pass the Access Act, which is a part of the Take Care of America's Veterans Act, this will save lives.
We know all about those secret wait lists on this show because my wife was involved in exposing those, so we're very, very aware of those on here. Mark Lucas is the founder of Veterans Action. Where can people find out more about that organization, Mark?
Yes, you can go to veteranaction.org. You can also follow me on social media on all the channels at Veteran Action and at Mark Lucas USA. I'm continually posting updates of where we're at with this policy. And it's going to be very important for you to go to the Veteran Action website, click on the Take Action button, and just do some positive reinforcement. We need all of Iowa's delegation to back this bill. Marionette Miller-Meeks has been a huge champion. Zach Nunn was actually screaming on the floor of the House trying to educate members on this bill last month. So they're leading the charge. But we need every single Iowa congressman and senator to vote for this bill.
What do you need my audience to do right now?
Go to veteranaction.org. Click on the Take Action button, and you can call your lawmaker, email them, reach them on social media. You can do all 3 of those actions in less than 5 minutes. It's the same platform that I use to help confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of War as a proven model, and I can tell you that these Iowa lawmakers, they want to hear from you back here in Iowa that you support the Take Care of America's Veterans Act.
Mark Lucas, thank you for wearing the cloth of our nation. It's personally important to me, you know that. Take care, and we'll talk soon, brother, all right?
Thank you, sir.
God bless you.